Lovely. So obviously, big warm welcome to all of you. If you can keep yourselves on mute, that's really helpful. We've had a few sort of techie sound issues this morning, but which is poor Sally, which incredibly ups the ante in terms of slight, what's the word, panic. That feeling of, oh my God, it's gone wrong right at the last minute. Anyway, her husband has been in the room and has now given his technological aid and support, and we seem to be okay. So we're all set to go, and we're all set with what we're going to do this morning. We thought that we would, that last week was very popular, as it always is when we talk about eye makeup. And we talked last week about a very specific aspect of eye makeup, which is to do with shaping different shaped eyes. So what you can do with shadows to compensate for some of the problems that you can have with the shape of your eyes, or enhance those shapes of eye that need specific, enhancements. Today, we thought we'd concentrate a bit more on colour. So you can look at colour from two aspects, really. You can look at colour from the aspect of your, the undertone of your skin and the kind of clothes that you wear, the colour of clothes that you wear. This morning I put on, I was going to wear a grey, I've got a quite a pretty sort of silvery grey top. And I thought, oh, I'll put that on this morning. And then I looked at the weather and I thought, oh, God, no, I need something a little bit warmer. So I've put on this reddish top that I've got, which is like a very dark red, and accessorized it accordingly in order to help myself to look a bit brighter. So colour in terms of clothes, but also colour in terms of eye colour. So what are the kind of colours that you can choose to put on your eyelids, and for the shaping that works really well if you have grey eyes, green eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes. And we have a variety of eye colour within most of our customers, so we are therefore very conscious of that. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to particularly home in terms of the sort of products that Sally's using. I'm going to show you the lid colour. So we've got 3 lid colours, which are a creamy texture, not shadows. And they've been amazingly popular for us from day one, partly because our first eye makeup video, which featured my lovely friend Carol, showed the Silver Mist eye colour, and we just sold a ton of it on the back of that. So we're going to show you the lid colour, and we're also going to show you some tips and techniques for mascara, eyelash curling, various things that Sally's got to say about eyelashes, false eyelashes and things like that. And then we're going to come back to me, and I'm going to show you just a little bit of the lip prime, because we have an offer on that this week. So I'm just going to demonstrate exactly how you use that, because I know there's some confusion and I'd like to clarify it for you. I've actually this morning put on Silver Mist lid colour. If I get in close, you can perhaps see. It's an interesting product to use. Sally will describe it. I love it for special occasions, in fact, and for me, it just lifts my makeup up a couple of steps if I really want to push the boat out and look especially glamorous. So I love it. It's a beautiful colour. But I'm going to pass over to Sally now, and I'll leave it with you, Sally, to go through the process. She's got no eye makeup on, I think, to start with this morning.
Well, one colour, I'll show you.
Okay, so she's going to again demonstrate very clearly so that you can all see exactly what she's doing. And I'll, as I said, pass over to you, Sally. And glad you're with us. Glad you were able to be heard. And breathe, relax. You're fine.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Yes, it was a little bit stressful when the sound didn't work, so hopefully this is clear. Is this okay, everyone? Still great, brilliant. Okay, so as Tricia said, colour. We'll talk a little bit about. I'm going to do a quick application of colour, and I'm going to also talk about some ideas of colour combinations using our products for warm, cool, and for different iris colours as well. So quite a lot to get through. So what I've done so far is I have put my foundation, I've done all my makeup, all my foundation, blusher, I've actually done my eyebrows, I've used the eye prime, which we talked about last week, and I have just popped on all over my lid. You can see I use this a lot. This is rose gold. Rose gold is a really good sort of pinky peachy neutral that suits a lot of people as a good base colour. because it's very similar to your own sort of natural eye skin tone. So you can then build up on it. It's a good safe colour, and as you can see, I use it a lot. So I put that all over my lid. What I'm now going to do is I'm just going to talk through first of all, the applications of the lid colour. So we've got 3 of these lid colours. Tricia, as she said, is using Silver Mist, which is a sort of beautiful lilac-y, silvery, bluey. Oh, it's just a really, really special colour. And even though I am warmer, I have still been known to wear this colour myself. You then got Soft Moss, which is a beautiful green. And again, this is a really good neutral, so it works well with warm or cool. And I sometimes wear this with forest green. It's really nice. The one I'm going to demonstrate today is actually Golden Mist. So this is more the warmer one in our 3. And I love this colour. So there are 3 ways to wear the lid colour. It is, as Tricia said, it's a really unusual texture. It's got an integral wand, and if I just sort of show you, it is actually quite sticky. Hold on, let me just hold that up a bit more. If you can sort of see that there. It's quite a sticky product, and a lot of ladies put it on thickly and go, oh no, it's sticky, I don't like this. So actually you have to put it on not too thickly, then you have to blend it and you have to let it dry. And I always use this after using any other eyeshadows, because it's hard to use this and then put an eyeshadow on top of it. So I do this last, unless I'm just using it on its own. And I know a lot of ladies just love using it on its own. So if you use it on its own, so this is method 1, use your eye prime as normal, and use this, you can use it directly from the thing all over your lid, just a little bit. And then I would suggest you take brush number 4 and blend it all over. If you're doing it on its own, just let it dry for a few seconds before you open your eyes. Otherwise, you'll find it sort of transfers up to this area, which you don't necessarily want. So let it dry for a little bit. And then if you're using it on its own, I think it's always nice also to put a little bit of eyeliner, which I showed you last week, and I'm going to show you again this week, and mascara. And that's a really nice, simple way of using the product. Second way of using it is actually just in the center. So do all your other eyeshadow colors. You might use a medium one and a darker one in your socket line. Then just a tiny bit right in the center of your lid, and maybe a tiny bit in your sort of inner V. And then just blend it slightly, let that dry, and you'll find that pops the color out. So just a tiny bit, that's quite nice to do too. The third method is what I'm going to use today, is actually to put sort of an in-between method. So I'm going to use it on my sort of inner third of the eye, coming up to the middle. So what I'm going to do first is finish my eyeshadow. Now I'm going to be quite daring and bold today, and I'm going to use charcoal. And I'm doing that because I want to show you that even though I am warmer, I've got blue eyes, bluey grey eyes, and I really like charcoal, which is in the cool section if you're looking on the website. So it's quite a dark colour, and a lot of ladies are a bit frightened to use this other than eyeliner colour, but I actually quite like the smoky eye look, so I do sometimes use it in the socket line as well. So I'm going to actually, last week in the video I applied the darker colour using this brush. Because I'm going for a really dark colour, I'd rather go for a slightly fluffier brush so that I don't get quite so much product on the brush, because if I go too heavy to start with, it will just freak me out and anyone doing it. So, okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit just again onto my socket and coming down. See where I'm putting it. Now this will look very scary. If you're using a dark colour, something I forgot to say, Tricia mentioned that you might want to hold up a cotton pad. But another top tip that I'll just show you, if you find holding up things too difficult because you haven't got enough hands, you can take the translucent powder, and you can also put a little bit of that just on the outer corner of your eyes. It looks a bit weird before you do this. I just forgot to do it, so looks very weird. And what you do then is, if you get any spillage, at the end, you can just dust it off with a big powder brush, and the spillage should just sit on the powder rather than on your foundation on your eyes. So that's another top tip. So I'm going to just carry on putting it just into the socket line. And it will look quite dark. So I'm going to show you the effect of the golden mist to lighten the whole effect. So I'm going to put a little bit down there. Now I've put some on, I'm actually going to just use a tiny bit of this brush. This is a little bit trickier to do on screen, so it might not look totally even, but I'm just trying to give you just a rough idea of how you can use a darker colour into your socket line. If you look at last week's video, we talked about hooded eyes and how putting a darker socket, a darker colour higher up can really, really help. I'm now going to take a clean brush and I'm going to blend out to in and out to in. Now this is when I'm doing a makeup lesson with someone, if they get to this point, they go, oh no, I just look as though I've got a bruise. And yes, I do look a little bit as though I've got bruised eyes. That's because I haven't done my eyeliner, I haven't done my mascara, and I've got very pale lashes. So for me, if I don't do eyeliner and mascara, it just isn't framed. I'm not finished. If you're one of those lucky ladies that's got really lovely dark lashes, then you can get away with a lot more. But I definitely need to do eyeliner. But I'm not going to do that until I've put the golden mist on. So let's just demonstrate. So I'm getting some out. I'm going to put it into the middle. I'm bringing it about sort of in. Now, can you just sort of start to see where I put it? It's quite sticky. Don't open your eyes. I'm just going to put it on and I'll show you before I blend it. It's a beautiful colour, and because it's light, it just brings the eyes forward. I'm going to put a little bit in the inner corner so you can just sort of see roughly where I put it. Just bringing it up. Now, it looks a bit weird because I haven't blended it, so I'm now going to get my blender brush, and I'm just going to, you do need to blend this product. It's wonderful because it smooths out eyelids. So if you've got sort of crepier eyelids, actually this product works really well. You might think it might be counterintuitive to put a slightly shiny colour on, but it sort of doesn't stay as scarily shiny when you've actually finished doing it. So you just sort of pat it with your finger. You can see that that just has sort of brightened the centre of the eye. You can see where I've put it. Again, it still doesn't look right, because I've got two smudges here, but I haven't got my eyeliner on. So I'm going to just demonstrate that again, because I think we found that hopefully quite useful. So I'm going to carry on using the charcoal and my brush number 8. And I'm going to, today I'm going to use it dry. Last week I made it very slightly damp. Top tip again, if you're putting it on, is just to take off the excess, so you've actually only got it on that little edge. And then I'm going to go out to in, lifting it at the edge to help lift the effect of the eye. So I'm going about just over halfway across, and more. I should lodge it here. I'm going to do this side as well, out to in, so it's slightly wider at the outer edge, lifting up. And again, this doesn't look right until I've got my mascara on, so nothing looks right. I think my Desert Island product, probably, I'd have to have 2. I think one would be mascara for me, and one would be lipstick, which I could then use as blusher. Although if it was skincare, I would probably take an SPF with me for my Desert Island. But for makeup, for me, I definitely need mascara and eyeliner. So I have managed to just put my finger in there. So I'm just going to take that out. You see it's already starting to look a little bit better because I've got some eyeliner on. Because I'm using charcoal is quite dark, so I'm only going to put a tiny bit underneath my eyes. So let's again out to in just a little bit. Just to define my eyes, but it makes a massive difference on me if I've got something under, because my lashes, the base of my lashes are very fair. We'll talk a bit about lashes later and what you can do. In the summer, I do sometimes have my lashes tinted. I have had all sorts of things. I've had the semi-permanent lashes done once or twice, and I've also tried the lash perming. So I've tried it all because I'm a bit of a lash girl, but I am going to show you my favorite tool, which is they look really scary, my eyelash curlers. They look like a sort of tool of torture. And I know that ladies that never use them, when I use them in makeup lessons, they sort of recoil in horror, but I'm coming towards them with eyelash curlers. So I actually say to them, no, it's much better for you to learn to do it yourself. It's much easier to do it yourself and have somebody else do this. So let's just have a little more of a blend.
You know what I think the problem,
yes.
Sally, do you know what I think the problem is with eyelash curlers? They look a little bit about like the things that doctors use when you have a cervical smear test.
Yes, you could be right.
I don't know about you, but I have never enjoyed that procedure particularly. And they come at you with this sort of metal thing, and you go, ooh. Anyway, eyelash curlers have this rather unfortunate, because they're metal and they've got this sort of rounded bit. So you have to just say to yourself, this isn't going to hurt. This is actually not painful. And then you're going to show us how to do it properly. So I get the hang of it. So.
Okay, so like some ladies like to collect shoes, I actually like to collect eyelash curlers, which is really sad, but I do seem to have lots of different brands of eyelash curlers. And I'm not just saying this, but genuinely, these are my favorite. I just love the shape of them. I love the fact that they're comfortable because you've got little kind of rubbery handles. Tricia did not pay me to say that I genuinely love these eyelash curlers. So another tip you can do, if you've got quite straight lashes like I've got, I'm not going to do it now because it will sound a bit weird, but I would blast my hairdryer at them for about 2 seconds, not very long, just to make the metal slightly warmer. You do not want it to be too hot. I do not want anyone to burn themselves, but if you actually make them slightly warm, it's like using curling tongs, so it actually works more effectively. So way to use these is to get as close, I'll put them on and I'll come close to the screen. Close as you can, I can see that, to the base of your lashes. Slowly close them so you don't catch your skin. Then what I do is I'm actually blinking down as I'm lifting this is not pushing into my cheek. So it's opposing forces, which helps with the curl. You need to squeeze quite tightly, and you need to squeeze for about 10 seconds. Some ladies like to do the pumping action, but I actually find for me it's better if I just hold them really tight. When you open them slowly and then move away. Can you see that eye should be slightly more curled up, the lashes? Hope you can you see that? Yep. You can do it a couple of times in different areas, and some ladies like to do it twice, sort of once at the base and once a little bit halfway along the eyelashes, depending how long your eyelashes are. I'm actually, just for speed, just going to do it once today. So go in as close as you can, close them slowly. You can't, once you've got the hang of it, you can't hurt yourself as long as you don't catch your skin, and you'll know if you're catching your skin. So I'm blinking down as I'm lifting. So I'm sort of doing an opposing motion, which helps with the curl. And I'm doing it for about 10 seconds. If you can't face a hairdryer, even just holding them in warm hands makes a difference, because when they're really, really cold, it's like putting cold metal on your eye. It's not very nice. Open and bring out. You should be able to see they've sort of curled. So this is a really good thing to do if you've got hooded eyes, because it makes a massive difference to the mascara. Right, mascara.
Sally, I'd like to come in again, and really useful to do if you wear glasses.
Absolutely, yes. I think we're going to do glasses another week, aren't we? Because there's quite a lot on glasses. But yes, definitely really good with glasses because it lifts up the eyelashes.
It also keeps the eyelashes away from the lens. So if you have got, if you have that problem that your eyelashes are long enough that they touch on the lens, if you curl your lashes, then you're actually bending them away from the lens of your eye.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Right, mascara. Mascara is such a personal thing, and I know ladies get very, very sort of, they won't like to try another mascara. And I certainly for years used to like one particular one, and I switched. This mascara is really, really quite special because it doesn't have lots of filaments in it. And I think as we get older, you don't want your eyelashes to sort of be like spiders on your face and be sort of too clumpy. And I know that when Tricia made the mascara, that was an important thing, wasn't it, for you, Tricia, to get that sort of the right texture?
Yeah, I had a bit of a thing about it actually, and for quite a long time we didn't have a mascara. I mean, the whole idea of Look Fabulous Forever was that every product we could just say this is better when you're older because, and I used to think, well, eyelashes are eyelashes, and mascara is mascara, and then I had my own search for the mascara, the one, and would try various different sorts, Maybelline this, and I'd be sucked into that one would make my eyelashes twice as long and all that sort of stuff. And in the end, I just thought, do you know what? The thing that I really want from a mascara is something that leaves my eyelashes, after I've applied it, still quite soft.
Yeah.
Not spiky, and I don't want loads of filaments, because if you have filaments, then what you have is you've got bits for a start, but you get that terrible sort of clunky morning after the night before look. If you're the sort of person that falls into bed having had a bit of a night out, I honestly can't remember. I mean, that's in the dim mist of time.
What's a night out?
Night out, yeah, even just to go out for the evening, when how we would love to be able to do that again. Anyway, I would actually think that those filament rich mascaras made my eyelashes look very, very much like I hadn't cleaned them properly and that they were still clogged with product. So I went along to see our wonderful cosmetic manufacturer, sat down with him, Alan, and I just said, look, can you make me a mascara that still makes your eyelashes look thicker and better, but doesn't add all that gunk and that cloggy, sticky stuff? So he started sending me some to try, and I ended up with the one that we've currently got, and haven't looked back since, and I love it. Now, we have a Marmite response to our mascara. Some people just think it's the best thing they've ever used, and other people go, oh, can't get on with you and mascara. It's fine. If you can't get on with it, you can't get on with it. I have no problem with that, but I think it's because you're very wedded to the idea that mascaras must have gloop in them that makes your eyelashes somehow you think look thicker and longer, and you perhaps don't like the idea that they look softer and prettier and actually slightly more natural, but at the same time enhanced with colour. So I'll leave that with you, and I'll go back to Sally to put her mascara on.
One thing is, if you particularly like another brush wand, some ladies might like a different wand, there's no reason why you can't, if it fits in, you can use another wand to use our mascara. I actually like the wand of this because it's thick but not too thick, big but not too big. So I tend to do both tops, let them dry, then do a little bit on the bottom. I don't do so much on the bottom. You might not want to put any on your bottom lashes. What I don't do is one eye completely, then the other eye. Some makeup, there's no right or wrong. Some makeup artists do a little bit on the bottom first and then do the top lashes, but I tend to do the top ones first. Now, if you've curled your lashes a lot, you might find it hard to go on the top of the top ones first. If you haven't curled them and they're quite pale, or you've managed to get a little bit of eyeshadow spillage onto the top, then I would do the top bits first and then go underneath. So I'm just going to go underneath because I've curled mine. So and what I do is I sort of wiggle and blink a little bit as I put my mascara on, so that I'm really, really getting into the base of the lashes. It's the base of the lashes that you want to make really kind of look darker and thicker. And that's where you don't want great big clumps on the ends, which you can't really get with this mascara because it doesn't go clumpy, because it doesn't have thick filaments. But the nice thing is you can just build up the layers. You start to see that starting to come up. I'm going to put another dip, and I'm going to do the other side. Isn't it funny how it's very hard to do mascara without your mouth wide open. I don't know what I'm doing. I probably best not look on the screen, but it's a weird thing. Now, I tend to hold my brush like that. Some ladies do it like that, but I tend to do it like that so that I don't get it near my nose. So again, wiggling and really getting into the roots. Last week, we talked about if you've got slightly narrow set eyes and you want your eyes to be more elongated, you can actually sweep your mascara to the side as you do it, which will bring your lashes slightly more outwards. Conversely, if you want to just lift them and make it appear more round your eye, do it straight up, which will have the effect of lifting the lashes and opening the eye rather than elongating it. So you can actually, just by the way you use your brush and move your lashes, you can get a different effect on your eye shape quite simply. So this is the one product that I do take a little bit of time, and I do it several coats because for me it makes a massive difference. If I wasn't going to put anything or any eyeshadow on my eye, I would still probably put a little bit of top eyeliner using the dark shadow and mascara, and that would make enough difference for me to look a little bit more awake. So you can see that hopefully the top ones look better than the bottom. I am going to put a little bit on the bottom. First, I'm going to just dust away my powder. Just get rid of that. Now, you can't just use any old powder if you're doing that trick. You need to use a very sheer powder like the Look Fabulous one, because otherwise it will sit in any fine lines. We talked about that as well last week. So just a very sheer powder works a treat. So I'm now going to just a little bit on the bottom. I tend to do it this way rather than this way, unless I'm trying to get to the outer corners, when I might sometimes hold the wand vertically, but usually I tend to just find it's easier for me to do it horizontally. Just to get to those outer corners, I might just hold it like that. If you find that your lashes, as you do it, kind of clump over each other, what I suggest you do, now this is actually a disposable wand, but you could take a clean, when you finish a mascara, I suggest you keep the wand, throw the mascara away, keep the wand and clean it, wash it out, and have it as your spare kind of just brushing your lashes wand, if you can't get hold of a disposable one, because between coats it's quite nice just to brush up and separate anything if you need to. Now that's another little tip. Between coats, just go in with something that hasn't got any product on. So again, I'm just getting, I am actually turning my wand slightly to get to those outer corner ones. But for me, putting a little bit on the bottom makes a difference. If you find, I've got the waterproof one on because I find that doesn't smudge at all. Some ladies just have eyes that water, or they produce a little bit more tears, or they've got a little bit more oil around this area, and they find that if they put mascara on their bottom lashes, whatever mascara, they find it smudges. So you might find if you're one of those ladies, you're better just to put it on the top lashes and leave the bottom. But the top lashes are really important. So I sort of feel when I've got my mascara on that the dark that I've used is not so dark, and the fact that I've got the golden mist in the center, light brings forward, so it makes you look more awake and it opens the eyes up. So that is, and just another little tip, if you, as I talked about last week, if you sneeze and you do get mascara blobs, as Tricia said, you can either just use a Q-tip and just roll it. If that doesn't work, take your Q-tip, put a little bit of your foundation or your beauty balm on the Q-tip and just take off any little specks. It's well worth just checking after you've done your mascara that you haven't got any blobs, because it's very easy to blob. but it's a brilliant mascara. I absolutely love it. I'm using the black waterproof. There is a brown one, and there's a black non-waterproof. We haven't yet got a brown waterproof, have we? No, but I think black, a lot of ladies are frightened of wearing black, and I would say unless you're really, really fair and got really, really fair lashes and very light, most ladies can get away with black. It's not actually as harsh as they might think, and it really defines the eyes, and particularly if you're wearing, as Tricia said, if you're wearing glasses, I would suggest, if you've not tried black, give it a go. In the shop, we used to use black a lot more than brown on our makeovers, actually, because it just gives definition. So that's a little bit about mascara. Shall I just talk about some colour combinations now, Tricia, about what? Yeah, okay. So I've put together lots of ideas, and over the last few years, I've tried lots of different combinations, both on myself and on my clients. If you are cool in colouring, and you tend to wear all the sort of the blue-based colours, pinky colours, then you could use, as Tricia's done, you could use the Silver Mist, which is this one, all over your lid. And you could put various things. You could just use taupe, which is a neutral, in your socket line, and aubergine in your lash line. That works really well. I'm just going to give a few ideas. Soft moss, which is this one, works really well with soft grey in the socket line, and charcoal, as I've done, in the lash line, for a cool person. You could use cream if you want to bring your eyes forward. If you've got quite deep set eyes, you want to keep more light, as we talked about last week. So cream is a really good colour for both warm and cool. And again, if you were cooler, it works really well with, if you want to put a little bit in your socket line, taupe. Midnight blue looks beautiful on the lash line. You can use rose gold, even if you are cool. I've used rose gold as a base, and then you could use bluebell, which I love, on the socket line, and midnight blue in the lash line with a dot of Silver Mist in the centre. That works really well. You could use pewter, which is, I know, one of Tricia's favourites, all over the lid. Charcoal on the socket line, and again, midnight blue or charcoal as the lash line. That makes quite a nice combination. Lilac mist, that's beautiful, all over the lid, very pretty for cooler eyes. And you could use pewter in the socket line and aubergine in the lash line. Oh gosh, what else? Dusky pink, that's a new one, that's really pretty on cool colours. Dusky pink all over the lid, aubergine in the lash line, that works really well. I could go on and on. So it's a kind of a combination, depending on whether you need more light or whether you've got hooded eyes. So refer back to last week's video, which will help you decide on the shading. But that's some of the ideas for.
So, yes, Ali, sorry to interrupt, but you're holding that mirror up and it's catching the light.
Gosh,
yeah.
Thank you. All this technology is too much. So if you are warm, golden mist all over the lid works really well with a little bit of taupe in the socket line, and chocolate, which is what I did last week as my lash line. Soft moss, which is the green one, again all over the lid, but with forest and the lash line really looks beautiful. You can use cocoa all over the lid if you're warm, and chocolate again in the socket line, and cream just in the centre. Another nice one is actually soft olive, which is the really lovely green, and that's lovely on warms. Soft olive all over the lid, and you could either put forest tea. You could actually put teal. In fact, that's one thing I wanted to show you, because I'm wearing teal. There's another little trick, is if we talked a bit about matching clothes when we talked about colour. What I sometimes like to do is, rather than go for the exact, I'm just going to put teal on because I'm wearing teal, when I've finished my makeup, if I'm wearing a colour that I love and I have it in an eyeshadow colour, what I sometimes do is put a little wash of that over my socket line. Even though I've got charcoal on, which is actually quite dark, if I put just a little bit of teal over that, because I'm wearing teal, even though I haven't got green eyes, it doesn't matter. I've got bluey grey eyes. I don't know if you might not be able to see that, but it's just made the charcoal look a little hint of teal, which blends with what I'm wearing. So, and I find that works quite nicely with lots of things. If I'm wearing navy, for example, I might put a little wash of midnight blue over taupe, which will give it, rather than it looking like I'm trying to match my clothes, it just somehow tones in very nicely with what you're wearing without looking scarily matchy. So a couple more with warm. You could wear cream all over the lid. And you could put just rose gold in this, which is in the socket line, and then use taupe in the lash line, which is a very soft look, and that's basically the neutral palette. If you've got less time, again, as I said earlier, just putting golden mist all over and then using a darker shade on the lash line like cocoa or taupe or chocolate works really, really well as well for warmer colours. Just going into your eye colour, and then I'll stop talking, sorry, I'm talking a lot here. Most people, there's probably, I would say, about 70 to 80% of the population have brown irises. So brown eyes are the most popular eye colour. Brown eyes, obviously take into consideration warm and cool in your colouring, but just an idea, brown eyes look great actually with all the browns. So we've got our lovely brown, warm brown trio. They also look great with greens. So the forest and soft moss and soft olive look really good with brown eyes. Golds look good, so you can wear the golden mist, you can wear cappuccino and cream. Brown eyes look great with sort of peachy colours, so rose gold, but they also look really good, brown eyes, with navy blue and with the purples, such as aubergine. So don't discount, just don't, because you've got brown eyes, think you can't wear sort of midnight blue aubergine. They look fantastic. Hazel eyes, again, golds and greens look really good, and warm browns. Our new terracotta colour actually looks really nice with hazel eyes. It's a really nice sort of warm colour. But again, the purples work very well with hazel eyes. Green eyes, fairly rare. Only about 2 or 3% of the population have true green eyes, but they also look good with browns. They look good with aubergine, purple, gold, and some of the greys. Blue eyes. So again, about 8% of the population have blue eyes. Blue eyes look good with, you can wear greys, like I'm wearing. They look great with browns. I always say, if you are at the seaside and you look at the blue sky, and then you look at the beach and you look at the sea, there's a contrast. So getting that contrast of a nice sort of warm brown with blue eyes makes the blue eyes look even more blue. Having said that, blue eyes also look good, and I often wear bluebell. The bluebell blue. What I probably wouldn't do with blue eyes is put blue, like a real flat blue, all over my lid, because there wouldn't be enough contrast then. So when I wear blues, I tend to still put something like rose gold or golden mist in the centre, and then use the blue in my socket line and as my eyeliner. So that just still creates a little bit of sort of contrast. So blue, rose gold, golden mist, peaches. Grey eyes are probably the rarest eye colour, very, very rare, but grey eyes have often got flecks in them of a bit of gold and a bit of brown. And grey eyes they look good with most colours, to be honest. You can get away with most eye shades. Not quite as good with certain greens, it depends on the green. And not so good with dull flat browns. They need to be warm browns like cocoa, but otherwise most colours look fantastic on grey eyes. If you have got a sort of, it's worth looking at your eyes at some point closely in the mirror and look at your irises, and you might just think, oh, I've got blue eyes, or I've got brown eyes, but look at the flecks, the little tiny flecks of colour. If you've got little flecks of gold, actually picking that up with your eyeshadow makes a massive difference, and it can just lift your eye. So have a really good look at yourself in a good magnifying mirror, and you might be surprised actually at the colours in your iris. So I hope that's given you a few ideas.
Definitely, Sally. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Really good. I'm actually quite confused what colour eyes I've got at the moment. I can't remember. I want to look in a mirror and think, oh, what colour eyes? I've forgotten. Thank you very much. So that was brilliant and very comprehensive. I know we've got lots of questions, which we'll come to in a minute. Before we finish, I just want, actually I still look as though I've got lipstick on, but I haven't. I've taken it off. And you know why I still look like I've got lipstick on is because I'm trialing the long lasting lip colour, and you can see it actually works extremely well, because it creates a sort of a basic stain on your lips. So I'm loving it, and we are going to produce that for you in 3 colours. We've got a slight problem at the moment with the warm colours, but we've definitely got 3 cool coloured lipsticks that we're going to launch quite well, relatively soon. I can't give you a date because I can't remember when it is, but anyway, I have actually promise you, I've taken my lipstick off in order to demonstrate the lip primer. Actually, I've got a funny story about eye colour. It's a really bizarre story in lots of ways. I was contacted by a South Korean student, and she said, I've been watching your videos. I'm a student at university in Seoul, and as part of my project, I'd like to meet you, and I'd like to discuss makeup for older women, because I'm doing my thesis on that. And I thought this was such a bizarre request. So I naturally said, of course, I'd be delighted to meet you. And it turned out that when she could travel, and she was sponsored to do this, I was in France. So I was going to be in France. I wrote back and said, I'm terribly sorry, I'm going to be in France. And she said, it doesn't matter, I'll travel to France. So part of her sort of grant that she got, she was sponsored to do this. She flew to Paris, got a train from Paris to Valence, and I met her in a cafe in Valence for about an hour. And she had to have the meeting booked with me to get all the finance that she needed to do this, which was basically a lovely trip to Europe. So of course, I was instrumental in that. I don't think the interview with me was particularly interesting. Anyway, the point of the story is we sat down, and there were 2 or 3 other students with her. They'd traveled with her. They were on the same kind of sponsorship program. And we sat down in this cafe, and they kept staring at me, like this. And in the end, one of them said, I'm sorry, you have amazing eye color. So I just said, oh, really? So she said, yes. It's so unusual. And you just realize that in that part of the world, everybody has brown eyes. And she just couldn't get over the fact that I didn't have brown eyes, and that I had this, for them, very odd eye color. And it was funny because the whole meeting was quite bizarre. They were sweet, they were lovely, they were absolutely delightful. One of them spoke really quite good English, but they spent their whole time on their phones, taking notes and all that kind of thing. Anyway, I don't know why I told you that story. I just thought I would. So what about lips and lip primer? Why have we got this? Why is this just an important thing to have in your makeup bag? And also, just to be absolutely clear, because I get questioned about this a lot, what is it for? Well, it's not to go onto your lips in order to hold your lipstick. That's not what it's for. So unlike our eye primer and unlike our face primer, both of which are designed to go onto your skin in order to hold the product for longer, that's not what lip primer is for. And I think that's where the confusion lies. So what it's for, it's to stop the bleeding of the color and the migration of the color, which happens on old skin, away from your lip line. So people say, well, why don't you have a lip liner? Well, I don't know why. I'm just going to demonstrate this. This is what you do with it. You use the integrated wand, and you just rub it onto the edge where your lips join your face, like that. So that's very simply what you do. Why don't I like lip liner? I think I associate lip liner with the 1980s. I don't know why, and it's kind of, what I don't like about lip liner is that when your lipstick slightly wears off, say you have a drink of coffee and you lose some of the lip color here, you're left with a lip liner. And I don't know why, I hate that effect. I really loathe it. So I'm much prefer to use the lip primer. So having applied it like that, I then rub it into my skin with my fingers, because what I want it to do is to create a seal at that point where my lipstick might migrate over the edge. And once I've done that, I make sure it's dry. Now, I have forgotten to bring cotton pads into my bedroom with me, and they're quite a long way away, so I haven't gone to get some. So I would normally now use a cotton bud and just clean my lips, because I don't want that product to be on my lips. I want it to have absorbed onto that outer edge. Okay, and now I'm going to apply my lipstick. Now, today I am wearing this sort of, I don't know what you call it, it's a sort of deep red. It's a really rich, deep red. And I've decided that to go with that really well, I'm going to use Very Berry. I'm even going to use the lip brush, which I have to say often don't bother with on an everyday thing. But if you do use a lip brush, again, you can get a really nice sharp edge. So starting at the outer edge, I just squeak that around like that. And the nice thing about using a lip brush is that you can get this extremely well-defined edge, which you don't get so much if you use it straight from the bullet. So certainly for special occasions, and when I want to, it's a bit like using the lovely Silver Mist lid colour that I've got on today. I will go to the trouble of using a lip brush. So what you're doing there is you're just following the natural line of your lips. Don't go over the edge. Again, I don't really ever think that it looks good if you're trying to create a false edge to make your lips look, more full than they are. So that's it. That's my lipstick done. If I wanted to, I've got my longer lasting lipstick on, so I know that this. What I'm finding with this is I do refresh it once during the day, but I've still got almost this amount of lipstick on at bedtime. So it's certainly working from the point of view of long lasting. Fantastic if you're going out for the evening. Because if you are going out for the evening and you put a couple of coats of this on, you would look the same at the end of the evening as you did at the beginning. So you're really solving that problem of your lipstick suddenly disappearing. So I hope that was useful to you. The code that we've got for that is SMILE, SMILE. You get £5 off the lip prime. So if you wanted to try it, it's an opportunity to do that. So I hope that was useful to you. So we're going to round off our session with some questions from Bryony. Bryony is labelled at the moment Anna Cusden. It's probably because Anna has gone in to use her name for this Zoom call, and she hasn't put it back to Bryony. So she's not Anna Cusden, she's Bryony. So Bryony,
it's me. Yeah, we do have quite a few questions. So a question from Christine. She said that the skin on her eyes is quite dark, and despite trying everything, she says that when she's using eyeshadow colour, it's never true to the actual colour of the shadow. Do you have any suggestions?
Is Christine using the eye prime at all? Because the eye prime...
Yeah, so you would suggest that's the best way if you use eye prime.
Definitely use the eye prime. Well, that should. Our eye prime is lovely because it's quite a nice light colour. And as I said last week, actually, I used it on its own on one lady for the wedding. So she might find even just using that, but that should help kind of create that lightness so that the eyeshadows are a true colour. That's the whole purpose of it.
Perfect. And then a question about hooded eyes. Someone said they've got very hooded eyes and she finds that eyeshadow actually never shows on her lids. Should she just be using the shadows on the socket line and leave the lids?
You can. I would probably put a very wash of something like rose gold cream cappuccino, something like that, something a little bit lighter. Definitely not putting a dark colour on the lid, but yes, you're right to emphasise the socket and above the socket line, as we talked last week, to push that back. But I would probably still have something lighter on the lid.
Okay.
Can I just add to that? I think experiment, see what looks better. Try one eye, try the other eye, try it with, try it without, see what looks better. And don't forget that when people look at you, they're not looking at you as you look at yourself in the mirror, because you're blinking, you're moving your eyes, you know, people get a different impression of your eye makeup from the one that you get when you're in the mirror. So it could be that because she does put a lighter color here onto her lids, even though that she hasn't got obvious lids. I've made up hooded eyes, lifted that bit of skin, lightened that area, and then use that technique of the darker socket line. And when the person's speaking, as I said, because you use your eyes in different ways and you're blinking and stuff, you can still see that color. So I think experiment.
Okay, perfect. And then Alison says that she's got aged hooded eyes and she can't use eyeliner or mascara because of eye sensitivity. Have you got any tips for people that have really sensitive eyes and what they should be using?
We talked a little bit about this, didn't we, Tricia, last week, in terms of it's really difficult if you absolutely can't use any products on your eyes, and there are some ladies like that, then I would say basically keep your brows really well groomed, and emphasize other things like really beautiful face makeup, really nice lipstick color, and distract away. And you know, it's a tricky one if you absolutely can't. I have found that they are pretty good at our eye shades on people with sensitive eyes, but it doesn't always work. Would you agree, Tricia?
I would. I possibly think about having your eyelashes tinted if you can get away with that, because that would help. I mean, that would give you that darkness at the eyelashes. So if your eyes can cope with eyelash tinting, then I'd go for that. And the other thing is experiment with just putting a little bit of mascara at the end of the lashes, so that you're not getting close to your eyes with the product, but you are just putting a little bit on the outer edges of your eyelash. I mean, anything that you do can help to make it look better. But I agree with Sally, distraction, playing up the other aspects of your makeup and so on and so forth, wearing interesting earrings, and as Sally said, have your eyebrows done.
Can I also say that a lot of ladies don't realise that they're touching their eyes a lot, and you know, just be aware, if you are someone that is constantly rubbing at your eyes and touching your eyes, you're much more likely to get an irritation and also to get smudging. So try and sort of be aware of whether you do that or not.
Okay, and then a question from Helen about using the mascara. She said, is it necessary to be cleaning the brush every now and then, as she finds that the mascara can sometimes get cloggy on the brush?
What you must never do with mascara is to add water to it and try and clean it. So what you could do, if it's getting a little bit, if the brush is getting cloggy, just take it out and just carefully wipe it on a very clean tissue, just to take off a little bit of excess. But never, I wouldn't start to clean a brush and then put it back into the wand, unless you're doing what I said and you've finished your mascara and you're cleaning it to use as a dry brush. But I wouldn't start actually necessarily cleaning it and putting it back in, because you can transfer bacteria in.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, something that I do, we actually pay to have something put in the end of the mascara wand that pulls off the excess product. You can hear a little plop. You go, and that's because it's got that thing in there to do that. But what I find is, if the end of it has got more product on than I want, I just push it back onto the end of the thing that I've taken the wand out of. So I sort of clean it like that, so that when I come to put the mascara on, I've actually dislodged anything that's stuck to the end of the mascara. I mean, that is the nature of mascara in the way that it's formulated, that it will do that, but you can get around it, or just use a tissue, just take the excess off on a tissue. That's how I get away with it, and it seems to work really well for me. And I do agree with Sally. You know what the other thing is, our eyebrow brush, the spoolie, you could keep a spare one of those for your eyelashes, because it's the same principle. It's a rolled brush.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. Perfect. And then lots of questions about sort of eye colour combinations, which I know you all just ran through, and someone has asked whether we can pop that list of the suggestions, and I think we will pop that in Super Troopers for everyone. And then just a final question for you, Sally. What colour lipstick are you wearing today?
Well, I've got my favourite True Coral with just a little bit of Cinnamon Kiss, the lighter gloss in the centre.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Well, I hope that was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed that and learned a lot. I always learn something during this when Sally's talking. I just think, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. I'll have to try that. So I hope you feel the same. I just want to tell you about a new initiative which I launched yesterday in my blog. You can read more about it if you want to read my blog. It's always there on the website. So you just go into lookfabulousforever.com and you at the top it says discover, and you click on discover, and blog is the first part of that. Click on that and then it takes you through to all my blogs. So this week I talked about a new initiative, and it's to coincide with this International Women's Day. And we had a discussion in the team, and we just thought it would be a lovely idea to come up with ask you to give us your nominations for women over 60. They are likely to be in the public eye because, you know, we need perhaps to know who they are. So if you say, oh, well, I've got an amazing yoga teacher, but, you know, she's not in the public arena, then that's not terribly helpful. So it is likely to be somebody that you know fairly that is fairly well known, but we want an inspirational list of people drawn from as many wide fields as possible. So we're not just talking about, you know, the usual suspects. I've actually said that I'm kind of banning Helen Mirren and Jane Fonda, not because they aren't gorgeous and fabulous and wonderful and beautiful exemplars of inspirational women over 60, but they are ubiquitous. You know, you mention a list of amazing women and everybody go, oh, Helen Mirren, she's amazing. Yeah, but there are others. So we're going to come up with 60 others. We've had some fabulous suggestions already, some names cropping up a lot, and we will put that list together, and then we'll be publishing it, our final list, to coincide with International Women's Day. So we're really excited about it, and thank you so much, those of you who have already, I think I had 106 comments already on the blog, and all of those contain suggestions. We're going to put it onto Super Troopers as well this morning. When I get off this call, I'm going to put it up onto Super Troopers. So it's there for all of you to see, but I'm really excited about it, and I hope you're excited about it too. So that's it for this morning. Join us tomorrow afternoon. We've got something really quite special tomorrow afternoon. We've got Pauline in Colorado. She lives in the Rocky Mountains on a ranch. Now, how many of you watching this have any, you know, knowledge of what it must be like to live in the Rocky Mountains on a ranch? Well, I certainly don't. And she's an aficionado of bonsai, which is even more interesting, I think. She's not been doing it for long. Well, she'll tell us all about it, but she's very good at it. And she's going to be showing us some of the examples of her work. So that's going to be a real special chat with Pauline, who is delightful and has had an amazing life. And as I said, she lives in Colorado. Wednesday with Leonie, we're going to do a vegetarian dish, which I think will be delicious, as everything with Leonie is delicious. And on Thursday with Lindsay, we're going to do flexibility and balance, two things incredibly important as you get older. And on Friday, we've got our film club, which is this week going to be, it's called Parasite. So it's the film that won best film at the Oscars, an amazing film based in South Korea, where everybody's eyes are brown. I just know that for a fact. Okay, so thank you for joining us this morning. It's been delightful to have your company as always. Started my week off in a nice way anyway, and I hope it started your week off equally nicely. So look forward to seeing you tomorrow afternoon. And again, thank you to Sally and thank you to Bryony for helping us to put all of this together. So bye everybody.
Thank you everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.